Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. This is Floating in Dreams, and today you are watching a video all about my Lisa Eldridge True Velvet lipstick collection. Now in the thumbnail you will have seen me holding up my two acrylic organizers that I use to store all of my Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, and I'm gonna have to be very honest with you that the thumbnail was perhaps a bit misleading because I have more than just the True Velvets. In fact, if I turn this one around, you'll see that I've got two here that I've separated out that are her in saline saturated formula, and these are three of the luxuriously lucent, and I will not be featuring those or the two glosses that I own from her brand in today's video. And that's because I want to do a video later in the year where I can group together some of the other formulas that she also does, because I don't own all of the luxuriously lucent lipsticks, and I would like to get my hands on all of those before I do a dedicated video on that. But because I do own all of the True Velvet, there are 18 shades in total, I thought we could do a video about all 18 of the True Velvet lipsticks that are currently on the market, swatch them on the back of my hand for you, as well as on my lips, and that's what this video is going to be all about. So let's get started. Welcome to everybody watching today's video. I would like to thank everybody for clicking on this video today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos. Whether you're new here or a returning visitor, I appreciate you very much joining me here, and hopefully I can bring you something that you are looking for in terms of information on these lipsticks. My usual fare is mainly eyeshadow palettes. That's one of the things I love chatting about. I also love doing very affordable reviews on mainly Essence and Catrice products because I live in the Netherlands and I can very easily get my hands on those. And I am someone who really likes to get the use out of their products as well. So I love doing these like collection overview kind of videos, but you'll see that I have some tried and true favorites whenever I do this kind of video, because when I love something and I love on it hard, and that's exactly what happened with these Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. I have these in separated organizers on top of my vanity because I don't really want to use anything else. That's really where I'm coming from with this video. So I just wanted to have a big grand old fangirl moment and show you all of these lipsticks. I tend to no longer grab for any other lipsticks other than these ones. So before we get to the lipsticks, I have to tell you how I've organized them. So I sort of keep my neutrals together in the front here. I've got my reds in the back, and I have the same thing for like the pinks and like deeper shades that I keep in the front of this little organizer here. Now the reason why I love these lipsticks so much is, first of all, I love lipstick and I really like lipstick shades, but I can struggle finding good shades because I have pretty fair skin. I've got a cool to neutral undertone and my lips are naturally quite pigmented with a bit of a purple running through it almost. So that means that a lot of the beigey nudes that a lot of people are always raving about just don't look really good on me. It either makes me look dead and ashy, or it just isn't that successful overall. So that's why I wanted to show you these lipsticks on my face today as well, because I just love these. There's just something about the formula of these matte lipsticks that just don't make it feel like a matte lipstick at all. These aren't drying, they stay feeling quite creamy, and I feel that they just have a really good wear time. I'm a teacher in my day-to-day life. I talk a lot throughout the day, and these lipsticks are lipsticks I can put on at the start of the workday, and they will last me throughout. So that's something that I'm always looking for, because in my busy life, I don't have time to touch up or do anything like that. So that's where I'm coming from when it comes to these lipsticks. And what I feel makes Lisa Eldridge lipsticks so unique is undertones. Even shades that I've bought that I thought weren't going to be flattering on me, that typically if I see a line of lipsticks, I'm like, that will not look right on me. In her line, it's almost as if the blend of the color has something that your skin tone is going to pick up on to make it look flattering on you. So I would say that all of these shades are pretty much universal. And I think that that's the only lipstick line on the market that really does that. Even her very light nudes that I know normally really make me look just absolutely drained. And I'm also wearing a beige sweater today, so you can really see the effect there. But they still do something to liven up my face, I feel. So that's where I'm coming from with this video today. Let's get started. We're going from light to dark. So I'm going to start you off with Velvet Intrigue. This is a shade that she launched for the first time over the last restock she did. And this is the lightest nude she's done to date. And before I show you this lipstick, I have to tell you a little bit about my experience when I first tried it. I got this, I swatched it on the back of my hand to take pictures, and then it broke off. And then I had the best customer experience. I sent them a picture of this broken lipstick, and they sent me, I'm not kidding you, within 20 minutes on a Sunday afternoon, they resent me a new, brand new lipsticks without any questions asked. That is how you do customer services, you guys. But yeah, this is her lightest nude. I thought it was not going to be flattering on me. I'm not going to lie. This is one that I bought to complete the collection. And this is what I mean by a nude that looks usually not right on me. It's too light. It's very sort of pinky beige leaning. And on my complexion, it just isn't that flattering. However, I feel that there is just a little bit something different in this undertone that still makes me being able to pull it off. So let me show you. And that would be Velvet Intrigue. So as you can see, for how light it is, what most light lipsticks do on me that I don't like is that they are sort of showing my natural lip color coming through, making it look very off. And if then the undertone of the lipstick is a much more warm tone than my natural lip color, it just looks really weird. Because of the opacity of this lipstick color, that's no issue. There's just something in this pinky undertone that my skin tone just picks up on when I wear this that I feel still goes. Would I wear it with a very neutral eye like I'm wearing today and a very neutral sweater like I am? No, but I needed to wear something that could go with almost every single shade I have going on. And since we're going hot fuchsia pink in a minute as well, I knew I had to sort of tone down the rest of my makeup to make sure I could show you everything in a very neutral sort of setting. So that's where we're coming from with this. So yeah, that would be Velvet Intrigue. Next up would be Velvet Fawn, and of the very light neutrals, I think this has to be my favorite. It is, again, not the kind of nude that I normally go for. It has quite a lot of brown to it. And brown tones, again, can be a little bit off. I know that Max Whirl had a moment, which is not my favorite shade either. But again, with this, I feel there's just something about it that my skin just picks up on. This is perhaps a little bit deeper than Velvet Intrigue. I don't necessarily think you need both. If you were doubting which one to get, then I don't think that these colors are so different that you really need both of these. But let me show you what this looks like on the lips, because that always looks a little bit differently. So there we have Velvet Fawn, which, like I said, it is, I think, my favorite of these very neutrally shades. The one that I would wear the most, I mean, this with a very smoky eye, like if you do like a navy smoky eye with my brown eyes and my pale complexion, and then this kind of lipstick, this is the kind of nude I then want. So I think that this is very flattering for a lot of different people, especially if you are not very fair. I think this is the kind of nude that even if you have like medium to deep skin, you can still get away with for that ultra nude look. And it has a little bit more orange running through it. So I think this is also a nude that if you have more olive tone skin can look very pretty on you, because then those like orangey, warmer undertones that this has is going to be brought to the forefront even more. But on my very neutral skin, it kind of pulls like right smack in the middle of everything, and that's what I like. Velvet Intrigue is definitely a little bit more pinky. Our next nude is Velvet Affair, and Velvet Affair was one I was very nervous for, because I believe this is described as having some sort of like yellow undertone running through it, and that makes me nervous because yellow means warm, and I find that very warm things can make me look a little sickly because it just brings out some yellow tones, and it's not always a flattering look. Again, not necessarily something that I will wear a lot. I think I kind of bought it to complete the collection. But this, in the end, didn't look as terrible as I thought it was going to. That sounds really off, but it just, again, it's deeper than Velvet Fawn, and it's definitely deeper than Velvet Intrigue. And here we can just really see that it's got a lot of like this warmish brown running through it. Not my favorite. Can I get away with it? I think I can, but it's not as flattering as you will see with some of the reds that she has. Those just really make my complexion pop. This doesn't. And there we have Velvet Affair. So if I just sort of pull everything away so that you can just look at my face, do you see it works? I'm actually also wearing a bit of a brownish tone blush. It's the M Cosmetics Serum Blush in Venetian Rose, and then I think I can actually pull this off. But I do have to be very careful with this kind of lipstick that I'm wearing, sort of like the right blush, and I definitely think I'd have to go with a different top that isn't as light as this for me to make this kind of lipstick wearable. I definitely think this is the kind of lipstick that can look really nicely if I'm wearing like a dark green shirt, and especially in the fall time. For me, this is very much a fall time nude, but I think it can be really, really pretty on people with warm undertones. And now we're actually moving out of the very, very nude territory, but we are getting into a favorite of mine, and that is Velvet Muse. If I were to pick a lipstick that I wear as a nude, it's this. And it's, I believe, described as like a rosewood, which I personally, that is like my favorite kind of shade to really wear as a nude. Very often nudes are very beigey or brown leaning, which I don't love. I like it if they have this like mauvey berry sort of undertone to it almost. That's what I prefer. And you'll see what I mean when I put this on, I hope. But this is what Velvet Muse looks like. It's lighter than Velvet Affair. I think it's like the deeper version of Velvet Intrigue, really. It perhaps has a little bit more plummish blue running through it almost. But this, I just love. So let me show it on. And that's Velvet Muse. Now maybe you saw already as I was putting on this lipstick that this shade is my lips but better. Like, this is very close to my natural lip color shade, so that's why I feel this is a perfect nude on me, because even though I'm wearing very neutral makeup and a very neutral top today, I feel this really brings the look together more so than the first three that we saw, if that makes sense. So depending on your natural lip color, and this is something that I feel a lot of brands, when they promote lipstick shades, don't really take into account, whatever your natural lip color is will very much influence what lipsticks look right on you. It's not just the complexion of your skin or your eye color or the rest of your makeup, but what your natural pigment of your lips will do to the shade is actually what's going to determine a lot of the times whether something looks pretty on or not. And because this is so close to what I naturally already look like, this is like the more perfect version of my lips. And that's what I love in a nude. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want it to look lighter. I don't want it to look browner, or I don't want to alter the shade. I just want to amplify it. This is my kind of shade, and that's why this is one of my most used Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. And now we get to sort of more pinky leaning things. I have both of the blush shades. So I have Velvet Blush and Velvet Blush Lightly. And this is Velvet Blush Lightly. And this is a shade that she created because a lot of people felt Velvet Blush was too dark for them. I believe that's the story behind it. And this is definitely like a lighter version of that. And Velvet Blush, I believe it's like described as a berry nude. So where Velvet Muse is more of like your mauvey, rosy kind of shade, this is more your berry. And then this is just a lighter rendition of that. So let me see. I want to swatch Blush Lightly and Velvet Blush close to Velvet Muse so you can see the difference in these shades on the back of my hand as well. So as you can see, this is just a lot more pink. Like, blush is definitely the way I would describe the shade as well. So let me show you this one on. And that would be Velvet Blush Lightly on me. I think that this is one of the newer lipsticks, so I haven't worn this a lot yet. So I'm not entirely sure yet how I feel about this. This is not the kind of shade I tend to go for a lot. But especially today, I'm wearing a very neutral eye, but that leans a little bit purpley. And with this kind of look, I think it works really well on me. What do you guys think? I'm not sure about this one yet, how much I actually like it. And by the way, if you do own both of these shades, I think that it's really pretty to first put on Velvet Blush and then just use a little bit of Velvet Blush lightly in the middle of your lips to create more of an ombre effect if you do own both. And our next lipstick is Velvet Blush, and you can just see how much darker we're getting here. It's definitely quite dark, so if I swatch it right here, need to pull down my sleeve a little bit, but right here is Velvet Blush. And you can just see that it's indeed the deeper version of Blush Lightly, but it is more of a berry tone, I feel. And that's why I prefer this over Blush Lightly on myself, because I like more saturated lip colors, I just do. But this is just a great one, especially if you have much deeper skin than I do. And I think that this can be a very pretty neutral on people with very deep skin. And there we have Velvet Blush. And I think you can see what I mean. I like something that's a little bit more saturated. Like, if I want to amp up Velvet Muse, this is what I go for. Like this, again, with a very neutral look, this really brings something to my face, and that's what I appreciate about that shade. So that's why I would probably reach for this over Velvet Blush Lightly. Let me see if I can show you what the effect would be if you put a little bit of Velvet Blush Lightly in the middle of your lips, just to show you that effect. So you just see that it creates just a little bit of a lighter flush, which I do really appreciate. I think these shades go together really nicely. And if I were to go for an ombre lip, I would do it more so with these kind of shades than with very brown tone shades. And then we're moving on to sort of the pinky tones here. So a new release in the fall time was Velvet Petal. And this is again one where I'm like, is this really something that I would go for? This is definitely the most pink toned lipstick that she does that isn't very bright. So let me swatch it right here so you can see. So then we have all the pinky and the neutrally shades together. So that would be Velvet Petal. And this is just not my kind of shade. Like, very often these are the kind of shades I end up decluttering because I don't really reach for pinks. I just don't. However, this is still very flattering, and I have to say that in her Luxuriously Lucent line, she also has like a rosy pink shade, Rose Official, that I did buy, and I ended up liking it a lot. So maybe this is a chance for me to rekindle my love for pink lipstick. But if you like pink, and you don't want it to be too bright and still like very wearable pink, then this is a very nice one. And that's Velvet Petal. So this is very pretty, but I don't know, it pulls a bit peachy on me. And I'm not a huge fan of the peach. So this, it's okay, it pulls okay, I think, but on me it looks a little more peachy than I would want. And then we're moving on to the biggest surprise of this line to me, which is Velvet Beauty. Velvet Beauty was one that launched and I didn't buy initially because I was like, I'm not sure I like that. It was very much, I think, described as like a dusty rose. Like with pinky shades, dusty rose is just not a shade I tend to like. But I have found that this has quite a lot of purple running through it. And on my complexion, the cool tones of this lipstick really, really show up, at least I feel. So let me swatch it on the back of my hand so I can show you. Yeah, even on the back of my hand, you can just see that it's got quite a lot of blue sort of running through it. And I ended up falling in love with this. This is such a good universal shade. It's sort of giving Velvet Muse a run for its money. Like, I still prefer Velvet Muse because it has a bit better mix of colors, but if I want to go for something super cool toned, I go for this. And that's Velvet Beauty. This was one, like I said, that I didn't think I'd like. But do you just see that some of that purpliness is really coming through? And that's what I love about this lipstick. So this is one that with a very neutral, basic eye like I'm wearing today, I can still wear. It never looks like too much. I wouldn't necessarily pair this kind of nude with a smoky eye or something like that. Like this has too much color for it to really go with very dark eyes. But with like my day-to-day, like very neutrally sort of look, I do really enjoy this. And finally, in pinks, the only really bright shade that she has done. And there we have Velvet Carnival, which I think is just a stunning shade. I love these kind of shades in the summer, so let me just slap it on so you can see what it looks like. And that's Velvet Carnival. As you can see, this shade just comes to life and brings life to my face. At least I feel so. So this is just, I don't know, I just love these kind of very vibrant, bright shades. Just really make me happy. This is, however, very much a bright shade that I like for like the spring, summer season. I wish you would do more brights that have a little bit more depth to them. That's something that I feel the line is very much missing still. She did 2 insanely saturated colors that I have that are quite bright, but those haven't come back in stock for a while, so I don't know if she still does them. But I feel that the True Velvet line needs more shades like this. Like if she can come out with a good magenta, Lisa, if you're ever watching this video, make me a very vibrant magenta shade. I would love that. And now we're moving into the red category. I've got them all grouped together from like lightest to darkest. This is her classic red called Velvet Ribbon. And Velvet Ribbon is like, it's really given a lot of my classic reds that I already owned a run for its money. There isn't a red in my collection that is this neutral blue tone leaning and this vibrant. I have Max Russian Red, which I love. Charlotte Tilbury's Red Carpet Red is another red that I really, really love. But those are deeper almost. Like this has, it's like a neon red, but still very classic. It's very sort of that classic pillar box red, and I love it for it. So let me swatch these shades on my other hand. I'm gonna have to do this left-handed, so I do apologize if these swatches aren't as steady as the other side, but that's what the Velvet Ribbon looks like. Let me show you this on. I think this is really going to show you what a red can do. Velvet Ribbon, anyone? I love this. Like this, I mean, it's become one of my favorite reds for a reason. Like I put this on and it instantly brings the entire look together no matter what I'm wearing. I can throw this on with many different eye looks. It goes with pretty much everything I put in my face makeup. I put this red on and everything just looks so much more vibrant and perfect, in my opinion. I love reds on me. I just think that it's a shade that I'm just made to wear, which is why I prefer to wear red lipsticks over nudes, really. Like this is far more my vibe, but with the entire situation and all the mask wearing that we've been doing, I do have to say that some of my reds are a little underloved at the moment, but just putting this on, it just makes me so happy. And I think you can see what I mean here with this being a very neutral matte, but matte red, I should say. But on me, it definitely pulls a little bit more towards the blue end of a red. So reds can be either quite blue toned or quite warm toned. And she has a couple of more orange toned reds, which we will get to in a minute, that are just far different, but that I still feel work on me, even though there are my favorites. Like this, if I had to pick, is my favorite Lisa Eldridge red. My other favorite red from the line is Velvet Jazz. I, for the longest time, struggled to find a dark red that didn't lean very berry. I have found that very many lipstick ranges, once they go past classic reds, everything turns berry. And her line has a deep, sort of like 1930s, very saturated dark red that doesn't pull berry. So Velvet Jazz, naturally one of my favorites. If I want to vamp it up, this is my kind of shade. So this is what Velvet Jazz looks like. You can just see how much darker it is than Velvet Ribbon. Like, I think now you can really see how almost neon Velvet Ribbon is once you start putting it next to other shades. Like, wow, this thing really packs a punch. But let me show you what this looks like on. Velvet Jazz, anyone? This is such a stunning lipstick. I am so happy that I wear this and that I own it. I think that this is where a lot of people might think like, ooh, is that getting too dark for me? But as you can see, even against my very fair complexion, I think it still looks really good. It is a little bit more vampy than Velvet Ribbon is, but I think that especially for like the winter season or the festive season, this is the kind of red that can really tie a lot of your like sparkly outfits together. So this is very much a holiday season lipstick for me, or if I have a party or something like that, then I really like throwing this one on. But Lisa Eldridge also does some really good orange toned reds, and her orange toned red of choice is called Velvet Morning. This is, again, very vibrant. It's like Velvet Ribbon, but then with a lot of orange running through it. So if, for instance, what's it called? Is it Max Heroine? Is that the one? Orange. Is that the one? I don't know. But you have quite a lot of orange toned reds in the market. Lady Danger, that's the MAC shade I was thinking of. Then this is quite similar, but again, like Velvet Ribbon, I feel this is different from other orange toned reds that you might know, because it is just a lot more vibrant than a lot of the other ones that I have. So let me show you this one on. And that's Velvet Morning. And despite my preference for a lot of like cool toned leaning shades, I feel that this, especially in the summertime when I've got a little bit more of a tan going, that this can still look very variable and very sort of vibrant and fun on my complexion. However, I think that this is much more suited for people with warmer undertones than I do. It's pretty, but I've sort of veered away from orange toned red over the years. I tend to prefer these kind of reds on myself just a lot more. Next up is her other orange toned red, which is one of the more unique shades she does. This is Velvet Dragon, and this is Velvet Morning, but then the murky version of it. That's the way I would describe it. This is a very spicy red. It's not my favorite. I feel it looks a little too yellow on me, and I therefore don't prefer it, but this is definitely one of her standout shades in terms of how unique it is. So that's where we have Velvet Dragon. I just feel like with Velvet Morning that this is not perfect for me per se. I prefer one of her newer shades, which I'll show you next up, much more. Velvet Dragon, I think it's perhaps a little more flattering than Velvet Morning on me right now, but this is not necessarily what I go for unless I'm wearing like the right outfit and the right eye look. Like everything needs to come together for me to really be able to pull off this shade. This isn't something that I can just whack on and it will look right all the time, like I feel these two do. So that's why Velvet Dragon, it's pretty, it's very unique. I can get away with it even though I'm very fair skinned, so I'm very happy with that, but it's not my favorite shade. And maybe you've guessed it, but my favorite of these like orangey tone reds, this isn't all that orange actually, but it's Velvet Cinnabar. And this shade, the minute she announced it, when I saw this on her video right before these launched in the fall time, I was like, thank you, Lisa, because this is the warm, spicy red that is going to work on me. This reminds me a lot of Max Chili, which is also this brownish tone red, but then this is just a little bit more perfect. I wore this in a video the other day. I feel this is perhaps almost like less brown and more of a red than Max Chili. So it's got a lot of brown running through it, but it's definitely darker than Velvet Dragon is, which is why I think it works on me. And I think that, again, this has some of that red running through that really pops through on my complexion. So let's put it on. And that's Velvet Cinnabar for you. So this is sort of like right front and center, because the minute I put this on, I was super happy with what this looks like on. Like Velvet Ribbon and Velvet Jazz, this is just really adding life and color to my face that, especially if I'm wearing something very neutral like today, I just kind of need. So that's why I really, really love this lipstick shade on me. It's just, it's warm, it's spicy, but not overly warm like the other two like orange tone lipsticks that she does. Those I feel are starting to jar a little bit. But with this, it's really that perfect blend, and that's what I love these lipsticks for to begin with. And then a super dark shade. This is Velvet Myth, and this is her deep red shade. So this is very much that very saturated, like it's much deeper than Velvet Jazz. Let me just swatch it right below it so you can see. And this is where it sort of starts to pull into the berry territory. So that's not necessarily what I want out of a darker red. Like, this is not the kind of shade I go for year round. However, she does have some tutorials for like how you can wear her darker shades in a multitude of ways. So this you can like tap on, and then it will look like a very different lipstick than when you apply it full on like I will be doing. And there we have Velvet Myth. Again, if I truly want to go for like roaring 20s vamp, then especially with this like shorter hair, I think it looks really good. You do have to apologize the fact that it looks like I've got a red ring around my lips right now. That's from all the swatches. I can't really do anything about that, I'm afraid. My lip line is starting to disappear as we speak. We still have 2 more lipsticks to go. But yeah, this is very, very pretty. Not something I wear on the daily. I would much more go for these two. Like, those two are much more my vibe than this, because I feel the other two are just more perfect to go with many other looks. And with this, I feel I have to wear the right thing. Again, if I wear like green shadow or like a green shirt, then I think a shade like this looks really nice, because then it pulls a little bit more plummy berry on me. But it's not perfect for most looks. Then another one of her more unique shades would be Velvet Decade. I believe she describes this as a chocolate brown, which I would agree with. However, on me, a lot of the red that this shade has comes through. So I feel it doesn't look that brown on me, if that makes sense. It pulls more reddish plum than it does brown. And I think that has to do with this blend of undertones that I've mentioned. Like, I think you can already see it. Like, in the swatch on the back of my hand, it looks quite cool toned. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I can get away with this. This, I think, is a really, really good lipstick shade for people with much deeper skin than me. This is quite adventurous for me to wear on the daily, I'm not gonna lie. But again, if you have this shade and you have one of those neutrals, I mean, ombre lip, anyone? I mean, you can tone this down. And again, you can wear it as a stain. So if you have one of these like darker shades by her and you play around with it, it can still be your everyday lipstick, for sure. And that would be Velvet Decade. Now this, I feel, especially with my hair and the beige sweater, it looks very sepia toned. And I do like that. I like that look, but I do feel it very much plays up my paleness. So again, I have to go for the right look, the right clothing in order to be able to wear this full on. I have worn it to work on a day-to-day basis. Again, if I want to amp up the vampiness of something like Velvet Jazz, if I want to go for something even more vampy and saturated, then from this line, Velvet Decade would definitely be my pick. But I think you can also see what I mean when I say that this, on me, it pulls quite red for some reason. I don't know what it is about this shade. It's definitely more unique, and I really appreciate it for that. And I think that, especially now looking at it, I think I can get away with this for sure. I would probably have to wear it a bit more though, because I don't get a lot of use out of these darker shades. Finally then, the last lipsticks I have to show you. My lips are very happy that this is going to be the last one. This is Velvet Midnight. And Velvet Midnight is very, very purple. It's like a blackened blackberry. If you own something like Max Sin, This is going to give you a very similar vibe to it, so I don't feel this is super unique. Like Velvet Myth and Velvet Decade, you can wear this as a stain. You can really make it work in multiple ways. This is sort of like the territory where the lipsticks are getting too dark for me. Like with my very pale face, it's just not perfect. However, because it is a plum, it does still work on me because it has that cooler undertone, so I think I can get away with it. But it is sort of borderline too dark. Let me show you. There we have Velvet Midnight. Like I mentioned, this is borderline too dark for me. Can I still get away with it? Yes. But this is a very editorial look. Let's put it this way. This is not something I go for on the daily for sure. I think it still works. It still works really well. And what I very often have with very dark shades like this is that they create a very weird ring around my mouth. Very often they will just sort of like slide around and I'm left with this really dark ring, which looks really odd. This one doesn't do it. It fades very nicely. So for a very dark shade like this, I think this is the kind of formula you would have to go for. So those are all of the Lisa Eldridge lipsticks that I personally own. These are all of the shades in the True Velvet line that she does. I said there would be 18, it's 17 because I still had my broken velvet Intrigue in this little organizer. Didn't realize that. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed the video, that you got something out of it, that you now have a better feel for this line. I plan on doing more lipstick collection videos in the next couple of months. I want to do an updated Charlotte Tilbury one. Would anyone be interested in that? Let me know in a comment down below. And I know a lot of people are looking for dupes for these lipsticks, so that's also something I want to do. I think the Kiko Velvet Matte line looks like a good contender. So maybe I want to do a video on that and then see if there's any dupes in that line. But yeah, these lipsticks are just some of my favorites, so I hope you didn't mind me raving about these. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I usually make 3 videos a week, currently 2, and then I will be back with a new video for you soon. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.